Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bun B, the Trilogy, hanging out at Toyota Center with my boy Mo Amer for another episode of Hometown Heroes. Check it out.
All right. Question. I'm totally okay. I'm perfectly comfortable in my own skin, knowing that I am being myself. I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not, which they wanted me to do very early on in my career.
Really?
Yeah. There's something that was reiterated to me on a regular basis. So you should change your name. Don't tell them who you are, like your background. Don't share that. You're so talented, Mo. Just don't share that so you can, the reasoning is that so you can be successful faster. But then in the process, I'll lose myself. So what's the point?
Exactly.
And they think I'm doing this for fame. I'm not doing this for fame. Fame just happens to be the one of the prizes that you get, I guess you can look at, for doing something well.
Well, let me ask you, Mo, if you're not doing comedy for fame, right, and fame ends up becoming a byproduct, which I can totally understand because when I first started rapping 30 years ago, there were famous people, but no one was wealthy.
Sure.
So in the way that many people look at hip-hop as a very quick monetary stream, it wasn't like that initially. So I wanted to rap because I wanted to be seen good at it, right? Sure. I wanted to be respected by my peers. If you weren't looking for fame when you first chose comedy, why did you choose comedy?
I first saw stand-up comedy at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. This is 1991. So I came to the United States as I was 9 years old. It was October. It was 3 days before Halloween, which is a wild time to be here and you've never experienced Halloween. And then a few days later, everybody's dressed like you're like, what is it? It was really scary.
Wow.
Because I never heard of Halloween, never knew it existed. Where I was mentally was that I just fled war. It's me, my brother, and my sister here in Houston. My mom, my brother, and my father are in Kuwait. They're still enduring this war. There's so many question marks about where is this gonna go? How's it gonna land? Am I ever gonna see them again? I'm a child.
Right.
I'm not thinking about trick-or-treating. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not in question. I was just angry, and I didn't want to even be here. I wanted to be with them.
So you're having all of this cultural impact in your life in these initial time of you coming into the country at a time where you're really not even prepared to embrace that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even there. And then I saw stand-up comedy like 5 months later. And I knew immediately that's what I was supposed to do. Like, it's immediate. I wasn't even 10 years old. I knew immediately that's exactly what I was supposed to be doing. It was this undeniable sensation in my gut and core of my being. I was like, oh, I found the thing.
Right.
It was like stumbling along this treasure. And maybe in some cases be looked at as fantasy and it's just a dreamer and that's what kids do. But there was something very special and unique about that situation. I remember it as if I'm sitting there today. I remember it like it feels like the Astrodome was empty. And I knew that moment was there. It was incredible.
Was this something that you felt was also going to help you cope?
Maybe. Again,
you don't even know.
Filter it? Yeah. I don't know. All these things started to show themselves later. So when my father died when I was 14 years old, fast forward, 4.5 years, I was skipping school. I went to Hastings High School. What up, Bears? Wrong. We'd have a very, as our Bears.
I was going to say, you give me a better Bears than that.
Yeah. All right, Hastings Bears, that's where I was. And I was skipping school regularly. I would just constantly didn't want to engage in anything in life, period. I was pondering my existence and the loss of my father and being uprooted and all these things. And my English teacher is the one who brought it all back to reality for me. And it was Mrs. Reed and Mrs. Broderick in English class in 9th grade. And she said, don't you want to be a comedian? I said, yeah, I do. That's what I'm going to do. Because I was very vocal about it even then. I'm going to be a comedian. I don't need this, blah, blah, blah. Right. Like this kind of attitude. And she said, well, wouldn't your father want you to graduate? It was like pierced me right in the heart. I was like, Miss Reed, you cold-blooded? I was like, I cried immediately. I was like, yes, of course. I come from a highly educated family and it would be a huge black mark for me not to graduate high school, for God's sake. So easy. And she said, well, you want to do stand-up. I want you to graduate. You keep skipping. You're never going to make it. And I will afford you the opportunity to do stand-up in class if you stop skipping. I'll give you a jump start. And she said, I'll give you also extra credit if you somehow infuse any of the things that we're talking about in class.
Into the joke.
So we happen to be going over Shakespeare. So I was like, well, I can just go up and do a monologue from Macbeth or something and do it funny. Would that work? She was like, yeah. I was like, cool. She's like, when do you want to do it? And I wiped the tears out of my eyes. I was like, can I do it now? She was like, yeah. So I did it immediately, and I started doing this British accent, and I was killing. Immediately, I was addicted. I was like, Mr. Reed, can I come in and, tomorrow and do my own stand-up? Just anything I want? She was like, yes. After she saw that, I was like, cool. And then at night, I was like, damn, I don't have any material. So I started writing material. And so I just went up and started doing it. And then every week, she would let me do stand-up. And then she walked me into the theater arts department, and she said, hey, this kid I think belongs in here. He's been coming in every week doing original material I've never heard before. He's doing all these different accents very well. I don't even know where he's getting them from. He's just doing it. And I think he belongs here. So Lugene Kreisner, my theater teacher, went on to be my theater teacher. She said, yeah, you should come in and audition and, be in class, I guess, something like that. So a year later, worked up courage to go in there a year later, and I started getting leading roles and, graduated with honors with it. It's just, that's how it went. And I had an opportunity to go to the School of Film and Television in New York, and I passed on that. When I graduated, I immediately started stand-up, and I did stand-up throughout my high school career. Teachers would get me out of other classes. I got permission to skip other classes so I can do stand-up in their classes that I wasn't in.
For the teachers or for the students?
For the student, both. So for instance, my Spanish teacher, I was out the whole day. I would wear a little jacket, and I would do an impression of Chris Farley while I'm roasting all the students. So I would have to freestyle. So I would grab a couple of the kids and I would get information about what's happening, like who are the kids I should make fun of or whatever. And then I would emulate Chris Farley, and then I would infuse Spanish into it to make it even funnier because it's Spanish class. And that's how I would do it.
And you get the extra credit by putting the Spanish into it.
Yeah, straight up.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's to me, what I hear from this is that, you hear about comedians having to spend time on the road trying to work out and act and figuring out what their style is going to be, sure. Right? Are they going to be upbeat guy? Are they going to be the laid back guy, the deadpan and all of that? Uh-huh. You're honing all of this stuff in high school. Yeah. It was just crazy because the only other person that I can think of that was like you at that young of an age was Dave, who ended up becoming a mentor of yours. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And the
Chappelle had a different, though. It was really incredible. He was actually able to walk into the clubs. So he was able to, his mom would take him, and then there was a lot of comedians that would hold him. I think Tony Woods would take him, give him rides home. He was a legendary DC comedian. He had that, which is such a dope thing to have. I would tell my Muslim Arab mom, newly into this, like, I want to go to the clubs and do stand-up. She's like, there's alcohol. What are you, are you a child? Are you crazy?
Right.
Like, there was no understanding of the art form. So it was a tremendous amount of tension between me and my family, particularly my mother, about me being a little kid, which is understandable completely. It is,
Yeah, because you're a teenager.
I'm a teenager.
When did your mom become okay with the idea of you being a comedian and going into that field? That's not a typical field. My mom immediately was like, we're done here. Yeah. Like when I told her, I said, well, I want to rap. And this is like 1991. So no one's famous for rap. No one's, in that world. My mom has no real understanding of what hip hop was then. To this day, she still doesn't really get it. Right. So trying to tell her that that's what I wanted to do for a living just went completely over her head.
Yeah, I don't know when exactly the time, but I can definitely tell you it was very, very difficult for her to process why I was driving 12 hours each way for $75 to get into a comedy club. That she didn't understand the process of trying to grow and the grind itself, exactly. Touring the South. And remember, this is right after 9/11, so I'm in my car as Muhammad traveling all throughout the South to really precarious locations doing stand-up. I'd walk up, it's like a Harley bar, and they're using racial slurs. I'm at the bar like this, falling asleep because I drove. I'm like, where am I?
Right.
But then I had to go up and be myself in front of them and then let them know what it is and leave. It was a really empowering experience. But my mom didn't understand the cultural significance of what was happening at that time. She does now. She absolutely understands it now.
Right.
But there was many years of her, and honestly, I'm glad she was like that because it motivated me even more. If she was like immediately accepting of it, I don't know if I would have worked as hard. Her being the one that questioned me and really pushed me, and not understanding it and trying to understand it, made her a better, like, she almost became like a mentor for me throughout that process to be like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you
I did the
this
same
thing.
thing.
And it was funny because we were in the car, and I remember, this was like probably a year ago, we were in the car. She was like, remember all those nights you would come home like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning from open mics or whatever gig, and I would just be yelling at you and you would start laughing? She was like, I didn't understand that laugh. I thought you were being rude. But really it's because you had this vision and I couldn't see that vision, and I was so wrong, and I'm sorry.
My mom did the same thing because she couldn't understand it. Like, she couldn't understand hip hop as a culture, much less the business decision of it. And my mom felt like I was so better set up to do other things and be successful at those things. But that wasn't where my passion was. I wanted to be a part of this. And as I got older and became more accomplished and there were better entry points, right? Because I performed in a lot of rooms I wouldn't want nobody's mom to be in. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so it took a long time for my mom to really, really kind of understand what it was I did and who I did it for and what it represented, But for you, representation obviously carries a deeper meaning, being a Palestinian refugee in this country. When did you realize not only were you a comedian, but you were also becoming a known representative of your culture and your heritage? And how did that start to work its way into your show? Was that always a part of your comedy routines, or was that something you felt needed to be more of your comedy routines at a certain point?
Well, before I answer that, I'll tell you something really funny. My mom, this is when my mom first, when she realized what was happening. There was like degrees to it, certain milestones that I hit in my career, but there was one photograph. We were in Abu Dhabi. It was Formula One. And in the picture, man, because my mom only watches news. She's like a poet. She's a very well-read human being. News and American game shows. That's really the only American television she watches, American game shows. So in this photo, it's, I think it was me, Chappelle, Chris Tucker, I think Rock was there, Haddish, Steve Harvey. There's so many like incredible artists. I show her the picture and she goes, Steve Harvey, my son, like that was her barometer. It's like, yo, Steve Harvey, okay, we cooking.
My mom didn't know I was a real rapper until I was in the Jet magazine.
Amazing.
She called me. She's like, y'all have the #1 album in Jet. You really are a little rapper or something, aren't you? It's so funny how our parents kind of figure it out through their cultural reference points.
The second time she ever saw me perform was at Radio City Music Hall. And it blew her mind. It was with Chappelle. It was Dave's shows. It was a historic run he had there. And I forgot who the first night was. I think it was Chance the Rapper, maybe. And she didn't even know. She doesn't know anybody, Right. She doesn't. But it blew her mind. She was like, "Oh my God, how wrong have I been?" And I filmed my first special a year later. Now, regarding my background and what it is and what it means, immediately I realized that I was the only Muhammad touring the South. There's nobody. There's no other Muslim comedian, no Arab comedian, no nothing.
I mean, your Netflix special, Muhammad in Texas, right?
Yeah, Muhammad in Texas, the second joint, which, like nobody has even experienced, any conversation with an Arab person. So it became way more than just stand-up pretty quickly. And it just left me just so persistent in trying to develop my craft and becoming a master of my craft, because that was the only solution in my mind to try to bridge this gap of misinformation. It was so important to me to be so personal about my experience on stage. And to also experience it as a refugee asylee to America and to go through the immigration system is so incredibly relatable to so many millions of people that migrate to America and what they go through, how disorganized the system is, how incredibly racist it is also throughout the South, and experiencing that firsthand. But also, after the show, people were kind of perplexed. They had these ideas of what an Arab or a Muslim person would be.
How meeting
and then
Muhammad
after the show, it's like, wait, what are we fighting about? Like, he just didn't understand it. It
Yeah,
really.
and your name's Muhammad,
Yes,
right? So
yeah.
you couldn't hide it if you wanted to, right?
No.
And there's guys.
And I didn't
I'm
want
sure.
to.
Of
I didn't
course,
want
no.
to. And the
But,
name Mo, the nickname Mo, it started immediately in grade school. This is like a thing in American culture, right? You just get nicknames.
if you got
and
a
my
long
was
name,
Mo.
nobody wants to call you by it.
It could be Moses. It could be this. It could be that. So my perception is that, I'm kind of like, I don't want to, use the name Muhammad. Quite on the contrary, immediately say it right up top in my specials. Immediately have it in the credits and all the things that I do, and I have that. But the preservation of the name itself, for me, it's a holy name, and to take it into a comedy club, to take it in these environments, and to do that is kind of.
It's almost haram.
It's like it's not. I just felt more comfortable just using the name Mo as in the forefront while not hiding it, being very open about it, and using it in my stand-up to kind of like squash any potential judgment of that.
Well, you're dispelling a lot of preconceived notions in the room.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. People have already made it up in their mind what it's going to be like whenever they meet a Muhammad, and
Right.
what he's going to be like, what he's going to sound like, what his personality and character is going to be.
Sure.
And then you come in and you turn all those things on their head when you meet the people,
That's exactly what I wanted to do. And I wanted to just create conversation and dialogue so we can actually have a fruitful future. And also open the doors for so many other people coming up behind me. Now there's a lot of Muslim comedians all over the place. It wasn't like that. It was not like that at all. Toured the world with a group called Allah Made Me Funny with 2 other Muslim comedians. Toured the world, did thousands of seats, man, around the world, independently of any help from any agency or anything, like any touring management firm. Did it all ourselves with, local promoters across the globe in the mid-2000s all the way up until 2015. That's why Chappelle was like blown away by us. He was like, how are you guys even doing this? And that's how the whole relationship even started. It started touring together in 2012, in the beginning of his comeback.
Who were your heroes specifically from Houston when you were growing up?
So I got to tell you, Hakeem Olajuwon, easy answer.
That's real easy, though.
It's real easy, but it is. It's true.
We're from the same generation, so I get it. I get it. He was larger than life,
just
literally.
Make
right?
me a little younger, Bun. I got a little, I'm just kidding.
That's it. Well, then, generation is 10 years, though, so I'm giving...
Okay, damn it. We're the same. No, for real, Hakeem Olajuwon is an easy answer for me. And because not only was he so astounding as a basketball player and a talent, to me, the greatest center of all time, greatest all-around center of all time. To me, you can't even see. He's like the example of what is today to be over 7 feet or 7 feet tall and dribble like a point guard.
Yes.
His footwork is unprecedented. He's incredible. But not only that, but being a Muslim guy and then seeing him. I would see him on Friday prayers. He would just pop in. It was wild to see, and also fasting during basketball season.
He was very devout. He was very devout. Still is.
It still is. It's just what a wonderful and an amazing example of not only being a good human being and trying to his best to maintain his integrity while also being a champion. That was everything to me. It's oh, wow, this is a real example of something tangible to me is right here.
Yeah.
And Houston, as a city, is my home. I've been here for 32 years now. I've been here since I was 9 years old. This is my home. This is what I stand for. And I've always seen the greatness in Houston. I just was blown away that Hollywood has never filmed anything here ever. It's the most diverse city in the country, according to Forbes. easily. In New York was talking, hey, what are you talking about? You ever been to New York? We got the most diverse. Shut up. All right? Shut your mouth.
That's old news.
Houston, old news. Yes, Houston, Texas is the most diverse city in America. We have the best food in the country. Put my money on that. Trill Burger, shout out. We have just an amazing communities, all in different pockets. It's incredibly diverse in that way, but also it's like they call it H-Town. We do feel like a town.
No, it's the biggest small town in America.
It's the biggest small town in America. And there's all these unique spots. And I just thought to myself, bro, this is me after traveling 25 years, doing stand-up comedy all over the world, doing my thing. I would really like to be home for a minute.
Absolutely.
While showcasing, to me, one of the dopest cities in America and telling a very unique and never told story. It's never been a television show where the creator of the show, star of the show, the writer of the show is Palestinian, and showing how diverse it is.
And it's crazy how it is so distinctly Houston.
It is.
Right? While showing all of the diversity and all of the different cultures and all of the different moving parts that make this city the great city that it is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it. And man, we were hustling. People were like, we were trying to film the show here, and we were trying to film on locations, and people were like, we gotta film a Netflix show here, but stop lying. Stop lying. No, for real. We're filming a show. We're like desperately trying to get locations, and nobody would believe us that we're actually filming a series for Netflix here. And imagine me like in Third Ward talking to a barbershop owner. Listen, man, I grew up in Southwest. I know PAB. I would give him like all these references of me like being here for like 17
wow,
years.
you really are.
Okay. And it was one of those situations, and I would have to like really work hard to get them to let us film at their spot. And we're like, no, we're gonna pay you. Like you'll get money for this, and we'll film around your schedule and whatnot. Going from that to a year later at the AFI, which is the American Film Institute honors, they picked 10 shows of 600 that are submitted. Our show was picked. Mo was selected for that. And next thing you know, I'm talking to James Cameron and Steven Spielberg. And we're just all hanging out because they would pick 10 top movies and 10
top
television shows. And it's like the most prestigious brunch to be at. And then Al Pacino walks in at the end. He's telling stories. I'm like, what is happening? I was just in Third Ward off of Dowling, Emancipation, talking to a barbershop owner with tattoos all over his face. Like, listen, man, I swear to God, like, we're going to film to that.
Here's the thing that people can say, man. People can say in Houston, there's two things that happen in Houston that have never happened before, and that's DJ Screw and Mo's TV show. Those are two things that have never happened in the history of the world. And that's why you embraced it in the way that you were, because in this place where Hollywood, where they've heard everything and seen everything, you actually were a breath of fresh air.
No, it's a loving thing, man. It's a love letter to Houston. It's about showing inclusivity. It's about having a really diverse show that shows everybody's backgrounds in a very grounded, non-forced way. And that's what it was all about. We got the AFI Award. We got the Peabody Award, which is a huge deal. The Television Academy Honors. We won the Gotham Best New Series under 40 minutes. Like it's been a huge blessing to get recognized, but not for me, but for Houston.
Yes.
Like I feel like it's so overdue, and the fact that we're doing season 2, we're working on it, writing it right now.
No more strikes.
No more strikes. Strikes over. The actor strike is over as well. So we're going aggressively into season 2. We start filming here in March next year. So it's really, really about that. I want to not only be I want to be. This is the things I want to be known for: creating unique, stories, telling them on a global scale while being inclusive and a beacon of love and light. That's what it is. And I won't allow any negativity. I won't allow anybody's hate speech, anything towards me to influence, my decisions and how I want to live my life. I'm about to be a father. I want to raise my son in a beautiful environment like that.
I love it. Mo, thank you so much for being here with me, man.
Yo, love,
Come on, man.
Thank you so much. Whoa, fire. Oh my God, this is fire. I'd like to thank my mama for getting drafted for Houston Rockets.